All right, so whoever's here now has not yet been here before, except me. And are you able to, you could just raise your hand or come off mute. Have you been able to have the text in front of you? Yes or no? Are you going to be able to be following along with the text that we sent you? Yes or no? Come, tell me. Because, no, really, just tell me yes or no. I posted it in the WhatsApp.
I didn't know how to do it.
You don't know how to do it. You're not sure how to take a look at it. Okay. All right. Then the text, the original sikha that we've been learning is in Yiddish. So unlike what we do in Tanya or other Maimorim where I read the Hebrew, I took it sort of for granted that most of the people in this group are not really familiar with Yiddish, so it would be sort of not that important for me to break my teeth over the Yiddish. So we're learning it in English, in an English translation. And let me just, since both of you who are here at the moment have not been here before, this is a sikha from Yudei Shvat, Chof Bei Shvat, the 22nd of Shvat, in the fourth yortzeit of the Rebbetzin, Chaya Mushka. And essentially what the Rebbe is doing in this sikha is giving an insight into the value that he places in his wife and how should I say this? The archetypal, soulful expression that his wife embodies. And he does this through a few modalities that we've had so far. I'll just quickly review them. The first is that Chaya Mushka, the Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka, is, as we probably all know, the daughter of the Frierdiker Rebbe. And the Frierdiker Rebbe, it says in the Zohar that Abba Yesod Barata, that's Aramaic for the father, is the foundation of the daughter. And I don't think this is really surprising. We see this in daily life. There's sometimes and oftentimes a very special relationship between a father and a daughter that's different than a father and a son. But here we're talking about the transmission of certain spiritual qualities that she inherits, Chaya Mushka, from the fact that she's the daughter of the Frierdiker Rebbe, whose yortzeit is in Yud Shvat, coming up, and she passed away in Chof Beis Shvat. So they have another thing, number two thing in common, which is the month of Shvat. And the month of Shvat is the 11th month of the year from Nisan. And here the Rebbe, not here, but in the past, what we're coming up to, what we've done before, goes into a marvelous exposition of the number 11. First of all, he tells us something obvious and then explores it. 11 is one more than 10. Now, in Chassidus, and I'm sure you're aware of this because we can counter it everywhere, in Chassidus, 10 is the natural order, the 10 sephiros, the 10 commandments, the number system, 10, which is a common number system, not everywhere, but a common number system in most of the world. From Chabad, from Chochmah down to Malchus is 10. 11 is a whole new world. 11 is the crown. 11 is the transcendent levels of the soul. So the internal levels of the soul come from, brain, Chochmah, down to feet, which is Malchus. Sometimes mouth is also the mouth, from thought to speech to action. So we have Chabad, Chagas, Nahim, Netzach, Hod Yesod, and Malchus. That's 10. So anything that has to do with Shvat has to do with the transcendent order of things, what we call Soiviv Kol Almin, as opposed to Mamali Kol Almin. And she has that quality. So she has the spiritual inheritance of her father, particularly she does, because she's the daughter. She has the spiritual quality of 11, which is transcendent. And she has a third spiritual quality, which is her yortzeit is on the 22nd, Chof Beis Shvat. And Chof Beis, he reverses the letters from Chof and Beis to Beis and Chof, and quotes a pasuk in Parshas Vayechi when Yaakov gives a blessing to Menashe and Ephraim. Becha, in you, the Jewish people will bless, and they will be blessed. So she now carries the blessing and the ability to bless and give blessing into the world that Yosef Tzaddik, Yosef, who was the Mashiach ben Yosef, his children, Menashe and Ephraim, she carries that. So those are the three things, the three spiritual dimensions, let's say, that she carries that we've had up to date. The Yud of Yud Shvat, the inheritance of the father, the 11th, transcendent, and then 22nd, which is the power of blessing. Now, since you're not looking at it, I guess it doesn't make much difference, but we're on page 217. He's going to now go on to tell us something, as he has in these other three instances, about her name. And here I'll start to read. And again, as always, so you're here in the time you should, please raise your hands and interrupt, etc. So Chaya, right? Chaya Mushka. And we have a Chaya on the call, Chaya Pelin. What's Chaya represent? It says Chaya represents mainly the permeating vitality. In other words, the panemius, the chayos, the life force that invests itself in the soul that's invested in the body. And that's what he says. It's the chaya, an animal is called a chaya, right? A wild animal is called a chaya. That's connected with the animus of us, the essential animus of us is associated with the word chaya, and with the name chaya, which enlivens the body in an internalized manner. Right? It's responsible for the pulse of life. Chaya. Chava is a version of that. That she was the life. Chava, Eve, she was the life of the world. Chava, Chaya, same thing. Okay, and Mushka. Mushka is her middle name. Now, what's Mushka? This is less familiar to us. Mushka is a type of fragrant spice, and he brings sources for this. The nice thing, if you have this in English, or when you get a chance to print it in English, all the sources are cited here in the footnotes. Okay, Mushka. Mushka is a type of fragrant spice, and spices we recite a blessing, right? Boramine basomim, right? Basomim have some. We don't eat spice, but we write a blessing on it because, according to many opinions, this spice, Mushka, is one of the 11 spices of the Ketores. So here 11 comes up again, associated with spice, which this is the transcendent level also, because the spice, the aroma is something outside, we don't eat it, it doesn't nourish us. But, as he'll say, it gives us a flavor and a power. They say about the Kotzker Rebbe, he had a room that he learned in and stayed in, and every once in a while he would open the window and give a shmek. And the Chassidim asked him, "Why are you doing that?" Because I can tell whether Mashiach has come by the smell, the fragrance out there. Another thing we learned about, another mention Mashiach, it says that Mashiach will judge with the sense of smell. Like we have in English, it smells funny, right? Yeah, you told me this story, right? But it smells, something smells about it. So it's something that embodies and encompasses the thing, and like the cloud of the incense in the temple, which represents a transcendent level of the soul, is known. That fragrance is transcendent. Not like the food which one tastes and internalizes becomes part of one's flesh and blood. And fragrance also rejuvenates the soul, right? You give someone smelling salts when a person passes out. And that's why we recite the blessing, who created different spices over fragrance upon the conclusion of Shabbos. Shabbos, the Neshama Yesera is leaving us, right? And we want to, and we do something which enables us to hold on to some of that transcendent energy, which is the Bori Mina B'Summon that we make at the end of Shabbos, in order to rejuvenate the soul, which is grieved by the leaving of the Shabbos, because the additional soul, the Neshama Yesera, which a person receives on the coming of the Shabbos, is left. Since fragrance, which reaches the transcendent level of the soul, has the power to draw forth new vitality to the body. All right, now keep in mind here, all of this is about the Rebbetzin. So a sentence like, she has this Inyan, Mushka. So she has the power to draw forth new vitality into the body of this world. You'll see as this moves more and more, the Rebbetzin becomes an archetype for ushering a new shlav, a new level in the coming of Mashiach. And it's particularly associated with the feminine quality. Well, obviously, she's a woman. And there's a woman quality that's being released. Of this, it's important to remind ourselves that near the end of Tanya, we learn, that the Zohar says that a tzaddik, when the tzaddik passes away, the tzaddik is more present in this world than when the tzaddik was in the body. Because when the tzaddik was in the body, the soul powers were limited in the body, and now they're free. And as a result, the influence of the tzaddik is much greater after the tzaddik passes away, even in this world, and especially in this world, because what goes up must come down, down, down into this world. So Chaya Mushka ushers in a new era, in a new shlab, a new step in the whole notion of Bias HaMashiach, of coming of Mashiach, as we will see. Yeah. Okay? And in general, regarding the 5 names that the soul has, we've spoken about this in Tanya, also not the beginning, but the end of Tanya. We have Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama. Those 3 levels are in Panemius. They come into the inner, they get embedded in the animus of the body. And then you have Chaya and Yechida. And Chaya is the first transcendent level. So again, the spice is transcendent, the 11 is transcendent. So Chaya represents the Nefesh, Ruach, and the Neshama represent the embedded, permeating aspects. Mushka, which is fragrance, represents Chaya. And then you have Yechida, which is one level above that. We'll speak about that in a minute. More in detail is right at this, if you can look at it from another little perspective, you could say that Chaya alludes to the soul's level of Chaya, the transcendent level, that is close to the internalized level. And Mushka represents Yechida. So what he's done here is he's kind of kicked the whole thing one level up. We've spoken about Chaya as the internalized Chayas, the life force that's within, and Mushka as the transcendent. Now, we could go, if we move that whole structure, Chaya, Mushka, just one level up, Chaya is going to have something to do with permeation and immanence, but it's the level of transcendence that's closest to immanence. And Yechida is now higher than that. So in one respect, Chaya is the immanent level, the enclosed level, but in another respect, Chaya is the transcendent level that's closest to and has the ability to come into immanence or presence. This is in another kind of a sikha, this would be a parenthesis. 2 ways of looking at Chaya. The real immanent, highest of the body, or the source of the highest of the body. And then Yechida would be a even higher level than that. Now, when the 2 words, Chaya and Mushka, come together as one name for one person, this represents the union of both aspects as one, mainly the union of transcendence and immanence. In other words, in Chassidus, this is drawing the Or HaSoibiv, the transcendent light, into the Or Mamali, into the immanent light, or drawing essence of God into the minutiae of the physical world, making a dwelling place for Hashem. So he sees this Chaya Mushka again is the embodiment of these spiritual qualities, which are indicative of coming closer and closer to the resolution of the age of Mashiach, which will be, of course, Bias Mashiach himself, the actual coming of Mashiach. But that because the age is described as an age where the veils are lifted, so to speak, and the knowledge of God covers the earth like water covers the seabed, and there's less and less division between infinite and finite, between Ein Sof, infinity, and finitude. And this is pushing the envelope, Chaya Mushka, pushing the envelope toward that experience. Okay. Okay, so talking about that union, the state of union, when the transcendent and the immanent come together. So we say that this union extends from the level of Yechida of the soul, which is the highest level of transcendence of the soul, as it is one with the only one above, with the Yachid, with the singularity of Hashem himself. This is Yechida, to be united with you. It's the transcendent level of the soul uniting with the essence of God himself. And this extends, as it says, from the essence of the soul. And this is accomplished in a revealed manner through the Torah, as is known, that through the Torah, the phenomenon that the Jewish people and Hashem are truly one. Right? The Zohar says, Iraisa v'kud shebricha kul echad. The Torah and the Jewish people are really one. Now that's always true, but as we come closer to and more evolved in the age of Mashiach, this unity becomes more tangible, becomes more apparent, that we and Hashem are one. It's revealed, which also in Torah, there are these two levels and a unison of both of them. This is similar to the two levels in the Torah of the Ten Commandments and the 11 Anoichi. Now this I didn't explain. I will explain it now. It's another, back in the section when he's explaining 11, he says something which I've never seen anywhere else, but I'll tell you what he says. He says the 10 Commandments are really 11. How so? Because remember, this 11 is the transcendent level, and 10 is the immanent level. So if Torah is the vehicle for unifying transcendence and immanence from infinite and finite, bringing God down into this world, heaven down to earth, so it has to embody both of those characteristics, the transcendent and the immanent. And where would you want to see that? In the essential giving of the Torah itself, those 10 commandments from which everything else flows, right? So how do you see that? He explained earlier. The first commandment is Anoichi Hashem Elokecha, I am the Lord your God. So it's explained in Chassidus that Elokecha, or Elokim, is a name of God that has to do with tzimtzum, with concealment. It's a power, a strength. Elokam means strength and power, a gevura. He contracts himself to create a yesh, a substantiality, which is all of the worlds, from Atzilus on down. These are something, right? And he creates something from nothing, nothing being no thing, nothing that has any thingness, anything you can touch or feel. Where do you see that in the 10 Commandments? Elokim is all of the creation. It's in the word Anoichi. The word Anoichi is a very unusual word. It's a word for I, but it's an Egyptian word. That's what we learn, that it's an Egyptian word. And it's Rosh Teves, Aleph Nun Chaf Yud, stand for, it's an acronym. The Aleph is Ani, God is saying I. The Nun is Nafshi, myself. I myself, Kosavis, am written, Kasav, written, Yehavis, and given. In other words, God says, I have given my very essence into the Torah. His essence is transcendent. His essence can't be grasped at all. That's the driving force of Elohim, meaning the world, and particularly all worlds, but this world particularly, is a world which manifests itself as the ultimate yesh, right? We can touch and feel everything, right? It's the physicality which is predominant, and the spirituality and the godliness which has to be uncovered. But you should know, I gave the Torah specifically into this world, not into any other world. Why? Because this world represents the union of transcendence and immanence. This is the world which, in a sense, I've done, just for lack of a magic trick. I've taken infinite and packaged it in the finite. And that's latent in the first commandment. Anoichi, the transcendent, and Elohim, the immanent. Okay, I'm not getting, just let me know. Any comments here? Any questions? I hate this medium, let me tell you, because I take it for granted that people don't want to be seen, so that's why I prevent the video. But on the other hand, we lose a lot from not being able to read the eyes and the faces. So you have to tell me if there's anything that's hanging here or in question in your mind. Same thing like in the morning, right? Okay. So we have the Ten Commandments, and we just explained how he had explained earlier they're associated with 11. And we have, when we remember Chaf Beis, right? The 22nd of Shvat, or Yortzeit, which he cited in relation to a pasuk that in you, Becha, in you, Ephraim and Manasseh, the Jewish people will bless. Well, it happened to be Chaf Beis, 22 letters in the Torah. So now, Chaya Mushka is no longer just an amazing woman, right? She had to be an amazing woman to have this husband, right? And to have the kind of relationship that they had. Her individuality, many stories, never compromised at all by the fact that she was a Rebbetzin. She was a Rebbetzin in her own way, and in her own way expresses a certain uniqueness. And the uniqueness that the Rebbe is bringing forth here is the uniqueness of being the leading edge of the feminine quality that's essential, we'll talk about this as we go on, of creating this unity between transcendence and immanence, bringing us into the next phases of Geula. And most of the sikhs, a ton of sikhs, Nun Aleph and Nun Beis, in those years, this is 1991, 92, where the Rebbe really kochsik, as they say in Yiddish, was cooking hot about Mashiach. And that's where he said all these things that we had never heard before, like all the rectifications had been done, and all you have to do is open your eyes, and things like that. By the way, an aside, we decided last week in this class that after we finish this sikha, we're going to take a look at the sikhas of Nun Aleph and Nun Beis. We're going to, in other words, whenever we finish this, whatever parsha we're in of that week, we'll take a sikha from Nun Beis of that parsha and explore that. And when we finish that, we'll go on to the next one. And I don't know how long this will continue, but we decided it would be a good idea to learn as much as we can and in order the sikhas of Nun Aleph and Nun Beis, because that's where the Rebbe really laid out the message of that the time of Mashiach has come. Just an aside. All right. So, 22 letters of the Hebrew of the Torah. So the Torah is the bridge between God's essence and the qualities of differentiation and multiplicity which exist in the worlds. So the 22 letters of the Torah, which unite both the infinite and the finite, the revealed aspects of the Torah and the deeper aspects of the Torah, the fragrance of the Torah and the food of the Torah, the hidden treasures, which the revealed part of the Torah connects the revealed part of the soul with the revealed part of Hashem, and the concealed part of the Torah connects the concealed part of the soul with the concealed part of Hashem. And through uniting both of them as one, in Chaya, Mushka. Chaya, the inner part, Mushka, the transcendent part, and bringing the two together. By the power of the essence which transcends the concealed and revealed. Essence is above both of them. Right? Essence is the creator of both the hidden aspects of the Torah and the revealed aspects of the Torah. And they become one in her name in an openly revealed manner. And in the words in the verse in the beginning of the Parsha of Mishpatim, it says, and these are the rulings that you should place before them. These are the rulings you should place, and within the Torah, the inner aspects of the Torah and the revealed parts of the Torah. So based on this, well, he says something that I looked over, I don't want to skip it though. The inner aspects of the Torah, which on their own, the secrets of the Torah, are stored away, and they are manifest in an open manner, including a manner of actually being in front of your face. This is the pasuk. These are the things that should be in front of you. Yeah. So the innermost is accepted and internalized. The secrets become internalized and become part of you, as a set table ready for a person to eat from. This is the Shulchan Aruch, right? Why the Shulchan Aruch is called the Shulchan Aruch, the table, spread table? Because it takes that which is concealed. It's like, actually, tonight I'm looking at my table. Let's suppose there was a meal all set on the table, but it had a covering over it. It was in a box underneath. And the waiter came in and just removed the box. So that's the Isgalus, the revelation of the Pnimius of Torah. So based on this, we will understand the power that we have to accomplish the Chiddush, the innovation, which was added after the 22nd of Shvat. In other words, after the Rebetzin's Yortzeit. Something new has been released in the world. And also the world, which is 10, this is now what is released in the world after Chuf Beis Shvat, the passing of the Rebbetzin, is that the world, which is a 10, right, as we explained earlier, should be a ready recipient to receive the revelation of 11, the transcendent level. And the world should become a dwelling place for Hashem in the lowest realms at the height of perfection in the true and complete redemption. So it's Chaya Mushka, the Rebbe says, who has really opened up a fast track, so to speak, a channel to Geula. Okay? Through the phenomenon that the essence of the soul, which is truly one with Hashem, is clearly manifested in his 10 internal powers of the soul, as alluded to in the name of the one who passed away. In addition to the illusion in the number 22 of the 11th month, which also gives him the power to accomplish in this world, including the entire Seder Histalshalis, the entire 10, which is the number 10. And in the number 10 is drawing forth of the revelation of 11. Yeah. You are one, which we said before. So based on the above, we will understand why the innovation, the new thing that's been added to the world on the 22nd of Shvat, expresses itself specifically in connection with the passing of the daughter. Now here we come, opening up this window about womanhood. The daughter of my revered father, right? Could have been a son, but it wasn't. It's a daughter. The daughter of my revered father-in-law, the Rebbe, leader of our generation. Something that I always marvel at, that the Rebbe always refers to his father-in-law, the Frierdiker Rebbe, as the Rebbe, never to himself as the Rebbe. All right. Just as regarding the exodus from Egypt, our sages say that in the merit of the righteous women that were in that generation, the Jewish people were redeemed from Egypt. Similarly, it also says regarding the redemption. There's a pasuk that says, "Ki yameitzeischa me'eretz Mitzrayim," just as you were redeemed from Eretz, the land of Egypt, Hareni neflos, I will show you miracles. So there's an intrinsic relationship between, many are brought to the table of the details of Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is the paradigm of exile turning into redemption. So, and just as there, it was through the merit of the Jewish women, right? Women in the generation. So the generations, and this, so it will be now. And he quotes from, I'm going to look at the footnote 82, Yalkut Shmoni Rus, which is a midrash. He says, which quotes, the generations are redeemed only in the merit of the righteous women of that generation. And especially in accordance with what is explained in the writings of the Rizal, that the last generation of exile is a reincarnation of the generation that left Egypt. Which this is among the reasons for the efforts of my revered father-in-law, the Rebbe, who is the leader of our generation, in the education and guidance for women and daughters. You know, the Frierdiker Rebbe innovated, along with a few other of the Doilim, but not many in the non-Hasidic world. But at that particular time, there came a very big emphasis and a new emphasis in the world on the education of women in all aspects of Judaism, Torah and its commandments, including and especially the study of Chassidus and the spreading of the wellsprings outward. For we, and here is a famous expression, we are the last generation of exile and the first generation of redemption. Hence, the service of the Jewish women and daughters is even more pertinent, since in their merit, the redemption comes. Now, if this is true regarding all Jewish women and daughters, most certainly regarding the daughter of the Nasi, the prince, the leader of the generation himself, who was educated by the leader of the generation before, all the way back, the Masorah, leading from the time of the fall to the time of redemption. It's been one continuous chain of influence, so to speak. And even after her passing, her influence continues. Especially, we see that many Jewish daughters are called by her name. And through their conduct, they offer a living example as living souls and living bodies, that they were educated in her spirit, in accordance with her instructions and in accordance with her example as the daughter of the leader of our generation. Based on this, we may say that the reason why after the 22nd of Shvat, the day of her passing, we accomplished the final stage in preparing the world to be a dwelling for Hashem in the lowest realms for the redemption, since the ultimate perfection of this phenomenon comes through and in the merit of the Jewish women and daughters. Special virtue that the Jewish women and daughters have in the service of making a dwelling for Hashem in the lowest realms, meaning uniting 10 and 11, that's what he says in parentheses, bringing the transcendent into the immanent, will be understood by prefacing an additional insight in the above spoken regarding the service of making a dwelling in the lowest realms. So regarding this idea that Nesaba Kodesh Baruch Hu, that the Holy One, blessed be He, Ratza Kodesh Baruch Hu, He wants Liyes Dir B'Chartoinim, He wants a dwelling place in the lower worlds. This comes from the Chazal, from our sages. And the sages use the term dwelling place, right? Dira. Dira la yizbor b'tachtoinim. Dira is the Hebrew word for house. So now he's going to associate the house, which has always been associated with woman, but in a way which turns the house inside out. It's the house. It's God's house. It's the world transformed into a house for God. And who is the other? The housekeepers, the ones who keep the house, make the house nice, make it that way, it's women. So what the Rebbe does here, contrary to the popular women's liberation movement, which has women becoming CEOs and being like men, the Rebbe opens up the flower of real woman, the power that exists in the woman to make a dwelling for God down here below. So being that the sages use the term dwelling in a house for God in the lowest realms, it is understood that we can understand the contents of this through comparison to a physical dwelling of a person, a physical house, We see simply a physical house which gradationally descends into the physical sense from the spiritual concept of a dwelling above. So this is the concept. The Beis HaMikdash down here below is a reflection of something from above. That's why one of the opinions is, and it's the opinion that we hold by here in Chabad, Lubavitch, from Yerizal, etc., that the third Beis HaMikdash won't be built ground up. It will descend from the heavens because there's a model of it. No, its prototype exists up above, and it will just descend. The transcendent Beis HaMikdash will come down into the immanent world, and here we will be. So we see simply that although a dwelling can be made up of any type of place that befits a dwelling for a person, nevertheless, the ultimate perfection of a dwelling, a house, is when it is a beautiful house. And it has beautiful accoutrements. And everything about it expresses noyim, the sweetness and the beauty of the place. That's when a person can really live in the house, when everything is just beautiful and everything is nice. And he says, because nice things, this is a very interesting, just like taking for granted, nice things broaden a person's mind. They become happy about having nice things in the house. And, I'm sure, okay, I don't think this needs to be belabored, but you bring out your nice china, right? You bring out your nice silver, et cetera, et cetera. And there's a different spirit in the house than when you're eating off plastic plates during the week or whatever you're eating off of, right? So he says this making a dwelling nice includes the quality of the woman, the beauty, the outer and but particularly the inner beauty of the woman, who is the part of the house. So now you see what Chazal have said, Isha Besa, the woman is the house. And in mid to late 20th century America, that was a negative. I'm the house, I want to be more than the house. But suppose you realize what the Rebbe is saying here, that you are responsible for building the house of God down here below. And it's reflected in the beauty and grace with which you attribute your own self and your own dwelling on an outer level, and more importantly, on an inner level. So all the details of the dwelling are designed, well, there's a husband in the house, right? And who is our husband? All of us, men and women, our husband is Hashem. He's the balabas, right, of all of creation. And the details of the dwelling serve the Eibishter, the balabas. Their entire existence is nothing but this. A nice dwelling broadens the mind of a person. A beautiful dwelling, the one that exudes spirit as well as physical beauty. Which is true. When you buy something beautiful, there's any beauty. There's a quality in beauty which is intangible, right? It's just beautiful, right? And that beautiful is a transcendent thing that's manifest in a physical, who knows what, it could be a plate, a vase, whatever it is. But whenever you have that sense of your attractiveness to it because of that specialness that you can't quite put your finger on, that's a transcendent, beauty itself is a transcendent experience. You can't explain to somebody why it's beautiful. It just is beautiful to you. And it may not be beautiful to me because it's something that you can't really grasp al pi seichel, which is the 10, the power of 10. It transcends the power of 10. So likewise also is understood regarding, if it's true about the house of God, the house up above, which comes down here below, so it's also true regarding the dwelling in the lowest realms, the dwelling in this physical world. The ultimate perfection of the dwelling in this world is specifically when it is a dira noah. It's a sweet, nice dwelling, and with all the accoutrements in it, and the people, and particularly the wife who sets the tone for the house. There's a beauty in the wife, and therefore in the home. So in addition to making the lower realms into a dwelling place for Hashem, everything that is for Hashem, the good one, should be from the nicest and the best. If a person builds a house of prayer, it should be nicer than his personal home. because Zekke Levi Anvehu is a pasuk. This is my God, and I will beautify. I will make a beautiful place for him. You shall beautify yourselves before him. This is that we put on special clothes for Shabbos and Yom Tov. You should beautify yourselves before him. And likewise, regarding the general service of making a dwelling in the lowest realms, it must have this quality of noyim, of sweetness and beauty. And this is pertinent not only to the lowest realms being in a perfect state, but also to the dweller. The women and the people who dwell in the house have to beautify in the sense of work on themselves, to be, as the house is a vessel for peace, that the people who are in the house should be vessels for peace and love and integration and all the other things we could say about developing our thought, speech, and action and our midos to serve Hashem. So now he says, in the explanation of this, I don't have a clock timepiece with me. What time is it here? Can you anybody tell me what time it is? But I do want to stop at 9:30. Somebody tell me what time? Hello. Somebody, can you come off? No, let me take you off mute. Can you unmute? Whoa, is there anybody out there? No, tell me I've been reading to myself for an hour. Well, that's no good. Well, then we'll just leave it here in the middle? I mean, if there's nobody out there, I certainly do not want to be talking to myself. All right, then I'm gonna end this.